What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:29 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you with the situation between India and Pakistan. So last night, India launched precision strikes on 9 terrorist camps inside of Pakistan near the Indian border in the Punjab province of Pakistan. India said the strikes were carefully selected to avoid civilian casualties and to avoid Pakistani military bases. And it appears that India did lose some fighter jets during these strikes. Apparently, 3 Indian fighter jets crashed for some reason, according to the Indian government. We don't know if they were shot down or what, but Pakistan claims to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets, including French Rafale fighter jets that India has. And it does appear that India used fighter jets to launch the strikes from inside of Indian territory. And before I continue with India and Pakistan, I wanted to mention some other major breaking news. So last night, Putin instructed the Russian military to identify targets in the capital city of Ukraine for an Oreshnik strike. Okay, and the Oreshnik is an intermediate range ballistic missile. It's basically a 2-stage ICBM. So typically an ICBM has 3 rocket boosters, and this missile just has 2, so it limits the range to basically just a few thousand miles. And this is the intermediate range ballistic missile that Russia used against Ukraine last fall. So this is very, very concerning. And we know that Ukraine has threatened to strike Russia during the Victory Day parade this week. In just 2 days, Russia is going to be celebrating their victory over Germany in World War II. And the Chinese president is going to be attending. And every night for the last 3 nights, Ukraine has sent drones into Moscow's airspace. So it seems like Ukraine is probing Moscow's air defenses. And Putin is so afraid that he's actually not going to be attending the Victory Day parade in person. He's actually going to be attending via a video link. Okay, so he's going to be in a bunker. That is absolutely insane. So we got to keep an eye on Russia. So we have to keep an eye on what's going to happen this week during the Victory Day parade. And 2 additional B-52s went to Diego Garcia last night, bringing the total of 4 B-52s moved to Diego Garcia just in the last 48 hours. And that's in addition to at least 6 B-2 stealth bombers, potentially 10 B-2 stealth bombers in Diego Garcia. So I don't know if this is just more posturing by the U.S. or if they're actually getting ready to strike Iran. We know that Trump is going to be going to the Middle East next week. So I don't anticipate any strikes on Iran until after Trump leaves the Middle East. And India has informed friendly nations that it will launch retaliatory airstrikes targeting Pakistani Air Force bases, command centers, weapons depots, surface-to-air missile sites in case Pakistan bombs any civilian or military infrastructure in India. Wow. Okay, so India is preparing for a major escalation. And the Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's office announced that Pakistan's armed forces have been authorized to respond to India's strikes. Okay, so Pakistan will be responding in some way. And Pakistan's National Security Committee, chaired by Sharif, said the Indian strikes were carried out on the false pretext of the presence of imaginary terrorist camps and deliberately targeted civilian infrastructure, including mosques. These unprovoked and unjustified attacks martyred innocent men, women, and children, a statement said. So Pakistan is basically categorically denying that there were any terrorist camps in the areas where India launched these strikes, and they're claiming that India just hit mosques and civilians, which we know is a lie. Okay, and here we have a map showing all the areas in Pakistan that were hit by the Indian military, so you can see all these orange dots here. Okay, and India is now evacuating citizens from its Kashmir region in expectation of retaliatory strikes from Pakistan. Now, last night, Pakistan immediately responded with artillery fire, and several Indian civilians were killed in the artillery fire. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has chaired a high-level meeting with senior ministers from his cabinet. In a video released by his office, Modi can be seen sitting alongside senior government figures, including Home Affairs Minister Amit Shah, Minister of Defense Rajnath Singh, and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. And Modi has not spoken publicly since India launched strikes on Pakistan. And a UN team has arrived at a site in Pakistan-administered Kashmir that Pakistan says was hit by India's strikes. Apparently, various sources reported seeing 2 white UN vehicles in the city of Muzaffarabad, where Pakistan said a mosque was struck early Wednesday. India claimed that no military sites were targeted in its strikes and that there had been no reports of civilian casualties. However, Pakistan said Wednesday's strikes harmed civilians and targeted mosques across 6 locations in its territory. And Pakistan's military says it will respond to Indian strikes. It will retaliate against India at a time and place of its choosing, and that India will receive a comprehensive and decisive response. And here we have some video footage showing Pakistani tanks moving to the border of India. Okay, this was last night. And Pakistan claims that at least 2 mosques were targeted in the Indian attack. And Pakistan's defense minister said India launched missiles from its own territory and did not enter Pakistani airspace. Pakistan informed the UN Security Council that Pakistan reserves the right to respond appropriately to this aggression at a time and place of its choosing, in accordance with its right to self-defense as enshrined in Article 51 of the UN Charter. Wow. And Pakistan has reportedly captured several Indian soldiers at the line of control in Kashmir, and the Pakistani province of Punjab has declared a state of emergency after India's missile strikes. And the Indian Prime Minister Modi has just postponed his official visit to Croatia, Norway, and the Netherlands because of the ongoing situation. So that is absolutely huge. And we're hearing that flights to and from 8 airports in Indian and administered Kashmir have been canceled until May the 10th. And a Pakistani army spokesman said India targeted Pakistani water dams during the attack, and that India attacked the Neelam Jhelum hydropower plant. And Indian officials who spoke earlier to Reuters have confirmed that 3 fighter jets operated by the Indian Air Force crashed this morning in Jammu and Kashmir, refusing to elaborate on the reason for the crashes or if they were shot down by Pakistan. And Pakistani artillery fire killed 7 people in Indian-administered Kashmir last night, according to Reuters, citing local police. And India's Home Minister ordered the chief of paramilitary forces to call back their personnel who are on leave. Wow, that is absolutely huge. Okay. And Pakistan's prime minister convened a meeting of the Pakistan National Security Committee earlier today. And Pakistani officials state that the death toll from last night's missile attack by the Indian Air Force currently sits at 26 civilians. They made no mention of any terrorists or militants killed in the strikes. And the Indian Foreign Secretary said that the investigations into the Pahalgam massacre have found links to Pakistan. And there's been a lot of chatter from Pakistani sources that the shooting down of multiple Indian jets was not part of Pakistani retaliation. And they are saying Pakistan has yet to retaliate. They also claim that the Pakistani military has selected at least 8 to 9 targets inside of India to attack as part of their retaliation. And flights in and out of major airports in Pakistan like Peshawar, Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi have been widely canceled. And the Amritsar airport was also shut down. The Indian Air Force took control of the Srinagar airport, suspending all civilian flights until further notice. And China said they're concerned by the Indian strikes on Pakistan, and they urged restraint. And there's unconfirmed reports of a Pakistani airstrike against an Indian airbase in Srinagar. Okay, so that's very, very concerning. And Marco Rubio said last night that he is monitoring the situation in India and Pakistan. And an Israeli official told the Jerusalem Post about the Houthi ceasefire that we were completely shocked Israel was not informed before Trump made his statement. Okay, so Trump did not tell Israel that there was some kind of a ceasefire deal between the U.S. and the Houthis, just like he did when Netanyahu visited the White House and he broke the news that he was going to try to make a deal with Iran, while Netanyahu was trying to get Trump to agree to strikes on Iran. And another F-18 was reportedly lost from the USS Harry Truman. A second F-18 fighter jet was lost in the Red Sea yesterday off the USS Truman. 2 pilots were rescued. The crash came during a nighttime landing after Trump announced the Houthis had agreed to a ceasefire. The F-18 was not on a bombing run, U.S. officials told various sources, and the U.S. military had stopped airstrikes yesterday while the deal was being worked out for the ceasefire. Each F-18 costs $65 million. And the Trump administration wanted Ukraine to accept deportees from the U.S., and a massive Ukrainian drone attack occurred last night on several regions of Russia, including Moscow. That would be the 3rd night in a row. And here we have a picture coming from Ukrainian sources showing a drone that is being prepared for the May 9th Victory Day parade in Moscow. And there were fires reported at 2 military airfields in Russia due to drone attacks last night. One at the Shaikovka in Kaluga Oblast, and then in Kobinka in the Moscow Oblast. And apparently also Ukrainian drones attacked a fiber optic plant in the Saransk area of Russia. And I wanted to show you guys some interesting flights over Europe last night and this morning, this afternoon. So we had 2 NATO AWACS planes patrolling near the Baltic Sea this afternoon. We had one over northern Germany and one over northern Poland. And the one over northern Poland got aerially refueled, which is pretty interesting. And then we had a massive amount of sub-hunters off the coast of Poland and the Baltics, but a lot of activity here off the coast of Poland and Kaliningrad specifically. There was a British MRA sub-hunter that patrolled the entire Baltic coast and Polish Baltic coast, okay, near Kaliningrad. And then there was an American P-8 Poseidon that was looping off the coast of Kaliningrad at the same time. And then there was a Polish border guard plane patrolling their coastline as well. So this is very, very unusual. And here's a closer look at all of those sub-hunters near Kaliningrad and Poland. Check that out. Absolutely insane. And then we had another NATO AWACS plane in Latvia last night. And then we also had this British sub-hunter near the Faroe Islands area. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on with more breaking news. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.